round 3 then from Spa Francorchamps. You can see the grid in front of you. There's a very short run down to the turn 1 hairpin at the source. I don't expect too many magic tricks down there, but we will no doubt see a few cars get better starts. Talking about starts, the 2 Subarus get away well, so does the Mercedes at the front, so do the 2 Jaguars, with the VWs falling further and further behind the Mercedes, all on its own out of the front. Mental Might there at the inside getting shuffled around. The Mercedes of Terrence getting barged out as well, with the 2 Toyotas bringing up the rear. The Mercedes starting to make a little bit of a getaway. ESR Idle just gets past Fat Picklesbro into a Rouge for the first time. Fat Picklesbro, it is worth noting, did start on the medium tyre, so he will have a little bit of a pace disadvantage at the start. We do see Mental Might now going for a move on the other Porsche driven by Infinity Decals. Does he go for that move down into... does he? Oh, he's going for it round there. That's a great move by Mental Might, fully committed. The 2 VWs starting to kick each other's heads in a little bit as well. James Harben in the Subaru just tucked up behind Phil there. He might struggle to get moves made on that. The other Viper of Gemini is battling with the 2 Subarus at the back. Let's have a look. I did see a Subaru there at the outside. That's James Harben trying to get on terms with that Viper in front of him. The Viper that's got incredible straight line speed, but it does suffer a little bit in this middle sector. This is where you lose and gain all the time here at Spa. You can see Mutt 36 as well trying to get past James Harben. And Surf Rev in the Aston Martin, another car that will have quite a lot of pace around here today. And of course with that big lumpy V8 tucked under the bonnet. Let's have a check in at the front. So the Mercedes, myself, plan is just to try and get away, but I did want to save a lot of fuel as well, so you'll notice I'm short shifting heavily here in the Mercedes. I'm coasting quite a bit, just trying to manage the gap to ESR Idle, who I'm sure is doing the same job of saving fuel as well. Fat Picklesbro and Tricky Tree starting to battle a little bit, so Pickles will be doing a very similar job of just trying to save some fuel, so Tricky Tree is up to P3. So this first stint for Pickles is going to be slow, but his strategy calls on him making that time up more towards the end of the race. We see Infinity Decals go for a move down the inside. Mutt 36 looks for a move on James Harben, but he might lose out here to Surfer Rev. Surfer was in the optimal position to take advantage of that, and Mutt 36 is shuffled down again. I mean, now as the other Mercedes of Terrence for company, but Terrence does have Ice Chand up his inside as well. So Ice Chand in the Aston Martin might well get that move made down the inside. He's getting very claustrophobic up there. All the 2 VWs take each other out. So how's 91 with his power wiper blades? Taking notes from Fabuki, no doubt, as to how to do that. How's 91? Yeah, he just collects his teammate. And unfortunately, that's going to be bad for the VW team, who were hoping to maximise points out of this one. It is their Group 4 is their stronger car, and having them down at the back is not great news for them. Tricky Tree in the Subaru then, a good car until it. I mean, it's saying it down the straight. If it gets a tow, it's all right, but without a slipstream, the Subaru is a bit of a sitting duck on the straight. The Porsche is pretty similar, but it did seem to reach a decent speed. Good little battle going on here for 5th. Mental Mike, Infinity Decals. We've got Phil involved in that one. James Harben's still trying to get past that Viper. And Surf Rev, an ever-looming threat in the Aston Martin. Looking for a move. Bit of a recap then through. We've got Ice Chand, who made that move on Terrence a little bit earlier on. Terrence, who's got a little bit of a penalty to get rid of. You do have a couple of laps to get rid of that, and at Spa that's 5 minutes, so there's plenty of time. C-Trickle in the Toyota, P12 for C-Trickle at the minute. Gemini's made his way past Marshall now, with Mutt 36 and Haz91, the 2 VWs currently bringing up the rear. As for myself at the top, as you can tell, still just trying to coast. Pace management at this phase of the game is what I'm all about. I had a strategy at the start that I want to try and stick to, but that did count on me being out at the front at the start, or at least sort of in some clean air, and I was just trying to manage the gap to ESR Idle, who I knew was also saving fuel, and I didn't want him to save more fuel than me sat behind me. which was very realistic if he was sat in my slipstream. So focus for me, just tyre management, fuel management. Not very fun, but it is what it is. It does need to be done. James Harben then just struggling to get past his Viper. So Subaru, even when it gets, he's just not gaining on the Viper at all. I mean, it gets him on the brakes a little bit, but yeah, the overtake's not really done at that point, so he just kind of has to back in. Meanwhile, we saw Terence there go for a move back on Ice Chand. So this was the sister Mercedes car. Is this going to be around the outside, or is it going to be a cutback? Ice Chand actually goes deep there, so a bit of an accidental overtake almost for Terence, but he gets that move made. Mercedes should have decent pace around here, so he should be able to make a few positions up, no doubt about it. Mental Might then trying to get past Fat Pickles Bro as well. When did that happen? So he just got a really good exit out of the bus stop. Obviously we know that Pickles is using his mediums right now, and he'll probably do a shorter first stint. So I'd imagine see Pickles in the pits probably towards the end of lap 4, maybe lap 5, and then he'll just be running soft towards the end. The idea then really is that he'll be on the faster tyres while everyone else isn't. So myself and ASR Idol starting to break away a little bit at the front. We have dropped the slipstream to Tricky Tree. That might leave Tricky Tree vulnerable to attack from behind. Pickles, as we know, is a master fuel-saving demigod, so he'll be quite happy where he is. He knows the race will come to him later on. Nice little battle going on here behind. We've got Surfer Ever involved in this. We've got James Harben involved in this one. James almost shuffled down to 9th then. We've got Ice Chand again getting back on terms with Terence. Terence around the inside. Nice respectful racing, lots of room given between these guys, and Ice Chand does manage to slot it back up. We see Trickle was looking for a move on Terence, then backed out on that in the end, and that is Ice Chand up to P10. So still early days in the race. It is a 50-minute race, this one. The rules with this race are you have to run 2 separate compounds of tyre. So the favourites really being the soft and the medium. No pit windows or anything like that. It's I think it's like ×4 tyre wear and ×4 fuel, something along those lines. So it basically forces your hand in these endurance races, especially forces your hand to have to develop a strategy that you think will work for where you qualify versus where you think your pace is going to be. So ESR Idle at the minute, with the pace of the field, he just put a 27.7 in. I ain't really remotely bothered about fastest laps. I'm just trying to execute my game plan, short shifting to high hell. Quite confident, to be fair, that if Idle was to launch an attack, I could be relatively competent in defending it if I needed to be. You notice I'm not going defensive now. I know Idle, I've raced with him a lot. I know he's not going to launch and move up the inside. So it is helping us both that we sort of know each other's driving style a little bit, because if I can trust him not to yeet one up the inside every 5 seconds, then we both benefit, because we're not slowing each other up. So we're starting to see 2 little packs form here. So the top pack, which is the top 9, and then we've got this lot at the back here, which is Terence Mutt, who's must be said has made a good slice through the field so far. Ice Chand, the 2 Toyotas, and the other Viper. So that's the factions appearing as it stands. Lots of time to elapse in this race. We're just hitting the 8-minute mark, so I'd expect Fat Pickles who's actually getting overtaken by his teammate now. I'd expect Fat Pickles to actually come in at the end of this lap. He'll probably just stick a set of softs on and go back out again, maybe put a little bit of fuel in. See Surfer then having to defend to Phil, who had great pace last time out at Brands Hatch, kept me honest the entire race. Really good race between us two. Actually, I did really enjoy that battle. He's currently in 8th, so the Group 4 Viper not proving to be as strong, although it was one of the fastest cars in a straight line. If we just jump on board with James Harben, you'll kind of see my point about to be made, that the Viper isn't the strongest around this part of the track, where lateral grip is your friend. The Viper is of course an American muscle car, and as you can see there, it just doesn't like the twisty stuff as much, and it will lose time around here, but can make a little bit of that back up when it gets to a straight line. So that's going to make it hard for James Harbour to get past it, because the part where James is fast is the Viper's weakness, but it's hard to overtake that. The Viper's just going to be able to sail right back past again, and of course the Viper's getting some slipstream anyway to just help even more. Right then, so Mental Mike up to P3, he's past Tricky Tree. So Mental Mike has some good pace at the moment. So Tricky Tree in the Subaru back to P4. Good pace he's got in that car today. We've got Infinity Decals in 5th, we've got Fat Pickles in 6th. Excuse me, he's fighting off a Surfer Ev at the minute. So Surfer that actually had a little bit of a look there. Does Pickles go in the pits here? Yes, he does. So he's going to pit now. So that should, I mean, the problem for Pickles is at this point, this little faction here that sort of formed out of nowhere is a few seconds behind the rest of the pack. So Pickles could come out in this, or near it anyway. And that's not what he wants. Is he out of the pits yet? No, he's not. He's still in the pits. Yeah, he's still getting that car serviced. So, with the other cars not going to be pitting for another 10 minutes at least, yeah, Pickles might end up getting stuck out. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll see how that develops. Mutt, meanwhile, is up to P10. Terrence P9. There is a sizable gap though between Terrence and the rest of the field. You can see James Harbour then in 8th now, after Pickles has stopped. And the rest of the field just sort of going about their business as they are. I think a lot of people are just executing their own game plans now. There's no one really pushing the envelope too much at the top. We're all just kind of doing our own thing, really. It's a little bit more frantic here because this is where time does need to be made up. Gemini's having a good race so far, past the 2 Toyotas. He's going to try and make a campaign for that Aston Martin soon, no doubt. Fat Pickles bro then has now come out. He's a few seconds behind Has 91. He will now be on the soft tyre and he should be going pretty quickly. He's on the freshest tyres of the lot. I would expect good things from Pickles in the next couple of laps. Meanwhile at the top, Idle, this is his viewpoint on me. This is what Idle was looking at for the first, God knows how long of this race, we'll see in a moment. But again, as you can see, he's quite content here, he's just saving fuel. Again, there's no massive attack from him or anything like that, so we're both just executing what we need to execute. He's getting by slipstream. He's saving his fuel. So they're knocking it up into 7th in the Jag, which is its fuel-saving secret weapon. And yeah, we're just going to carry on with our plan, really. Mental Mike, not been as good on the fuel as the rest of us, so he'll probably suffer in the pits, although he's got good pace at the minute. He is lapping 227.3 was his last lap, although it was a 230.4 that lap, so yeah, he lost out big somewhere there. Infinity Decals is holding off Surfer Ev. Surfer is having a good race so far in the 33. Surfer does live stream his races, so if you want to go and check him out on YouTube, if I remember, I'll throw a link to his stream in the description below. He does stream a lot of his races, it's well worth checking out, if not just for hearing us lot sort of talk during the races in the background as well, because you don't really get that experience in here. Well, it'd be nice if I could record it and sort of interject it. I might look into doing that. I might record them as video clips. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe for a future video. I ain't got time tonight. That would mean sitting through like my VOD, which I'm not always up for doing. Right, let's see how this one develops then. It's looking like a race is brewing here. We pick the action up on lap 7. Starting to close in on pit stop time, but not quite there yet. There is a couple of little battles starting to emerge. So we've got Infinity Decals, Phil and James Harbour. So these guys battling over 6th at the minute. Now, as we've already sort of mentioned, James is kind of stuck in a bit of a rock and a hard place at the minute because the Viper ahead is slower during the middle sector, but during this section here the Viper's just got such incredible top end speed. SimFx in the Aston Martin, he's got a good run here on Mental Mike. We might see him have a pop at that in just a second. As you can see behind, it's already starting to kick off between these three. It's Phil getting a good run on Infinity Decals. James Harbour might have a pop at him as well. SimFx going to try around the outside of Mental Mike. Nice move, SimFx gets that one tucked away. Phil actually gets himself up properly past James and Infinity Decals. James had to back out of that move then, just so he didn't wipe anyone out, but James is now stuck behind the Porsche. Good move by SimFx to get him up to P4. Mental Mike, who's had some really good pace in this race so far, will be eager to get that position back off the Aston Martin. What else is going on track? We've got Terence, who's just knocked his fastest lap of the race in, but he has got Mutt behind him. Mutt's in a VW, which is one of the stronger cars for the track. The other Viper of Gemini is still in 11th. The guys at the back, they've got Fat Pickles, who has caught them now. Getting past Marshall is relatively easy. This is technically a move for position. So Ice-Chan doesn't have to duck and dive out of his way here, but Fat Pickles will not hang about in getting past. He has the freshest tyres of everyone. So that's Pickles through up to 14th, wasting no time in sieving through the field there. There still exists this bit of a gap, although Terence has started to escape that now, and Terence is actually closing up to the top group. So his lap times aren't going unnoticed. Mutt will also try and get involved in that group as well, I'd imagine, over the coming few laps. Does Mental Mike have a pop back at SimFx here? I don't think he's close enough. Yeah, you can see Terence not too far away from that fight at all. Meanwhile, at the top, Mental Mike pits. Quite happy doing what I'm doing, just trying to keep consistency, and if you just keep an eye on the lap times there on the right hand side, 2:28.6, 2:28.6, 28.5, 28.5, 28.8, so I'm just trying to focus on being as consistent as I could be, really. Over a long lap like Spa, it's easier said than done, but I do like this track, so I did always think I'd be able to at least pull off a little bit of consistency here. Great job by Idle. He does the comms coverage of Leagues 1 and 3. I think as I speak he's already done League 3, and he's actually due to release, or due to do League 1 probably tomorrow, which is when you watch it. Oh, there's Tricky Tree bounce off. I'm recording this on a Thursday night, so it should be coming out tomorrow, but keep an eye on Idle 4 Gaming on YouTube for that one. Even if the videos have already been streamed, they will be up for your viewing pleasure anyway. Good little battle happening between Sea Trickle and Gemini. Again, the Toyota in this middle sector will just be a little bit more superior, but Gemini's done a great job on his fuel saving. Of course, Fat Pickles, who's still having to defend to that Aston Martin in fact, no, he's not, sorry, I was looking at the wrong battle. That was Ice-Chan v Marshall. Yeah, what I was saying is Gemini's done a really good job on his fuel, so he'll, to be fair, he should just leap all these guys in the pit stop. So we are approaching that critical pit stop time for a lot of drivers now. We should see them start to peel off into the pits towards the end of this lap. I remember thinking at this stage, actually, do I carry on for another? I didn't want to push my luck with the softs too much, especially I just didn't want to get undercut by ASR Idle, because if he would have come in the pits, had a nice clean lap on soft tyres. I was just mainly worried about not coming out in traffic, but either way, a strategy board says I pit now, so I pit now. Tricky Tree's got to pit now as well. He said I managed to save 17% of fuel as opposed to Idle's 11, so done a good job on the fuel. Surfer, Phil, Infinity Decals, these guys all carry on. James Harvin did a good job as well, 14% fuel for him in the Toyota, so he's done a good job with that. Yeah, Let's see if any of these guys has 91 there dived in. Yeah, we'll see. Really long pit lane at Spa, so a pit stop here, sorry, does cost you a lot of time, but saying that, a 2-stop is still faster. Surfer now assumes the lead of the race, albeit temporarily, because I'd imagine he will pit at the end of this lap. And Phil, great job on fuel saving. Phil, he's currently sat at 25% fuel, so he's done the best job out of everyone on saving fuel so far anyway. So basically done 8 laps on 3/4 of a tank in that car. That's a very impressive effort. So I'm back out, P4 for me. Put about half a tank in. I'm on mediums now, so I'm just wanting to get 4, maybe 5 laps in on these tyres. And as little fuel in as I can possibly get away with. C Trickle is in 5th, but he's going to have to pit at the end of this lap. ESL Idol seems to be on a very similar strategy to me. He's put a little bit more fuel in, so I don't know whether he's planning on extending his medium stint, or whether the Jaggy's just a little bit thirsty than the Merc. Gemini, again P7, I'm not sure if he'll pit this lap. Those tyres are looking alright, but he's starting to lose a little bit of pace. Fat Pickles, bro, who you will remember pitted about 10 minutes ago, so his tyres should be okay now. I mean, they're not bad. Tricky Tree's on fresh mediums, and Pickles has been able to drive around him basically. Saying that, bit of side-by-side door banging between those two. Pickles just needs to get these moves done. Probably more overtaking than he probably wants to be doing at this stage, but he's capable enough to do it. So I'd imagine these top 3 will probably pit. I wouldn't imagine Phil will carry on. He might, but I wouldn't imagine he will. There's a gap, there's these gaps now, so it should still be me and Idol near the front when all this sort of plays out. Of course, we've got more pit stops to come later on as well, so like I said, the 2 stops the faster way around the racetrack, so I'd expect Pickles to pit at about the half-hour mark, so that's in about another 4 laps maybe. So yeah, a load of drivers do peel off into the pit. So Phil, yeah, 18%. And he's done an extra lap. He's saved more fuel than I did and done an extra lap. So good job there by Phil for that great fuel saving. C-Trickle came in with an empty tank. And we'll just see where this plays out now. Everyone will have made 1 pit stop, I think, by the time this is all done. So we'll see where it goes. So, oh, big battle here in the middle. So Fat Pickles is just out of that. We've got Tricky Tree, Phil and Surfer F involved in this one. Surfer F should get good over speed. James Harbin just a little bit further back. Should again get a little bit of suck power down the Camel Straight. It's Phil doing 150 miles an hour in that Viper down the Camel Straight. So it's Tricky Tree doing 151. And the Merc wasn't reaching those speeds. Right, so let's have a little bit of a field recap now. Everyone's made 1 pit stop. We're 10 laps in, about half distance as far as race is going. So myself leading the race, I'm now on my mediums. I'm going to start going a little bit slower now just because it's the medium tyre, but so will a lot of other drivers. So ESL Idol, P2 for him. He's again matching my strategy. Pickles on the softs. He'll be in the pits in about 10 minutes time for another set of those soft tyres. Then there's this lot, and there's this lot. Look at it. You've got Surfer around there trying to go around the outside of Tricky. James Harbour trying to bully his way through. He's trying to get that move made on that Viper. That's a move he's been wanting to make all race, but again he just gets hung out to dry there. So he's struggling to get past that Viper again, modulating the throttle nicely there just to keep himself tucked under the wing. Mental Mike, who's gone onto the soft, so he'll have to do his mediums towards the end, I believe. Most drivers though, most are now on the medium tyres. There's only a handful on the soft. There's Pickles on the soft and there's Mental Mike on the soft. That's it. The rest of us are on the medium tyre. So it should help reading the way the race is going to go out a little bit easier. Oh, Tricky ghosted then. I think Surfer thought he might be able to drive through him, but alas not, and Surfer might lose a place to Phil here. Now he gets a good enough exit. That enables Tricky Tree to escape. James Harman again just looking for some fresh air to put his car into. Subaru's having a very frustrating afternoon. In fact, both Subarus are seemingly having a frustrating afternoon. Tricky Tree can't seem to escape the clutches of that. In fact, Pickles Bro has now got himself through the melee into P3. He'll continue this for another couple of laps. And again, he might just come out in the midst of a lot of other cars when he comes out. And that might be his undoing here, because we all know Pickles is ridiculously fast. Phil goes for the move here on Surfer Rev. Is Surfer able to defend that? He tries to defend. He's got good speed actually, Surfer, so he is able to defend that with the help of Tricky Tree Slipstream. Mental Mike right up on the back of James Harman now. Mental Mike, another driver on the soft tyre, so again he should have good pace at this stage of the race. Infinity Decals has dropped back a little bit. Mutt 36 P10 at the minute for Mutt. Again, just trying to get his mediums out of the way. Terrence on his mediums down in 11th now, but he's I think he's pitted a little bit later than everyone else has. Gemini in 12th after that Herculean fuel saving effort. Wouldn't really have to refuel in that pit stop, so you can see he was with these guys last time, and basically he's up here now, so that's the benefit of fuel saving, I guess. This is where the action is though, ladies and gents. It's Surfer, it's Phil, it's Mental Mike, it's James Harman. There has been an overtake. This was Mental Mike, I think, on James Harman. So he gets the entry nice and tidy, just ensures he can get full beans. Coming around Piron. And just gets a great slingshot out the corner. James Harman can't defend that at all. He's through on the inside. It must mean it's nice and congested then, so we've got Tricky Tree leading this little group. He is ahead of Surf Rev, and then it's a close fought battle between Phil and Mental Mike. Mental Mike on the soft tyre will be quite eager to get through this this field. You can see the amount of time he's losing, just being in a pack of cars essentially. This won't be working to his advantage. On board with Surf Rev. Just after that, behind us we've got the Viper, we've got Mental Mike, and we've got James Harman. And just call this on the replay, just come back. Surfer just very late on the brakes. Just has to sort of pick a gap basically to slot his car into. That resets him. It's an automatic thing done by the track, and yeah, that's Surf Rev. Lost 3 places immediately and a lot of time. Meanwhile, Phil sees his opportunity open up before him. He's going to try and maintain that. James with a good line. He's going to try and hang it around the outsides. The Subaru will have really good offline traction and can tuck himself up. That's a good move by James Harman. He's up to P5 then. But the Viper, you'll be honest, will probably just walk past on the straights. We have got Mental Mike behind us again, who we know is going to be fast on that soft compound of tyre. But just the speed difference between the Viper and the Subaru illustrated. The Viper, a very fast car in a straight line, reaching 152 miles an hour as he brake down towards the Lake On. And that's Phil up to P5 then. Again, these boys, these two, James Harman and Phil, are getting rid of their mediums. So these, it's a relatively short stint for them. I should imagine most cars will be piling into the pits probably towards the end of this lap. I was actually finding the mediums quite comfortable. I wasn't really struggling on them too much. I was losing a little bit of time, but only like 6/10 to be fair. So it wasn't actually a big concern for me to run the mediums. Probably expecting everyone in at the half-hour mark, which is fast approaching. As we see Mental Mike go for a move again on James Harman. James leaves him the space, but also at the same point puts him in a position where he has to drive around the long way. Mental Mike struggled to get himself past this Subaru, but again the Jag's a great car for top end speed and he has got a tyre advantage, so saying that, he might just walk past him as we go through Blanchimont. We will see. James though is getting a little bit of slipstream assistance from the Viper up ahead. Actually pulls out the slipstream for a moment there to try and get a move done. Mental Mike's going to try and slide his car in the middle. This gap closes quickly. He stays put for the time being. James looks like he's going to pit at the end of the lap. Looking at his fuel, I'd imagine a lot of cars. Fat Pickles is, yes, our idol's carrying on, and so have I carried on. I've gone on for an extra lap on my medium side. I think you have to do 3 fully timed laps anyway, so this was just me getting them out of the way. What was that time for me anyway? 28.5. So yeah, I'm not losing time on this tyre really. So again, we'll see the order jumble up. A lot of drivers now are going to go on to soft tyres. In fact, pretty much every driver now is going to have the soft tyre except for Mental Mike when he does pit. So let's just see how that plays out when we get to the end of it. So leader now in the pits. So I'm going on to the soft tyres for the remainder of the race. Mental Mike and Mutt 36 both carry on. These guys do have to pit again. Mental Mike needs to pit to get a set of mediums on. I'm pretty sure he's the only driver that's got to take those yet. Mutt will have softs to stick on, so this strategy might have quite worked out for him nicely. He can get a few nice clean laps in. I come out in third, just ahead of Has91, but importantly ahead of Fat Pickles, because Fat Pickles, as we know, is going to the end now as well. So we'll see when everyone else pits with where it lies, but it's gonna be a little bit of a toss-up between me, Pickles and Idle. Idle has put quite a lot of fuel in that car. He's wanting to push now. So I think Idle's plan is, I'm just going to start going for it and see what happens. Phil, P7 for Phil. We've got James Harbin in 8th. Don't forget we have still got some people to pit, so these positions will change yet again. There are quite a few cars at the top of the field that haven't made their second stops that they're going to need to really make because they haven't got the fuel to carry on. So we'll wait and see how that unravels itself. I'd probably expect Mental Mike to come in, if not this lap, next lap or two. He's got enough fuel in there to carry on for a little bit, to be fair, if he wants. Mutt 36 is going to be in this lap, and myself going to the end of the race now. We have 15 minutes remaining. Not a lot of time. That's about another 6 laps here at Spa, so it's not a lot of time at all. This is the business end of the race. Right then, so as Mental Mike and Mutt peel off into the pits, we're starting to get the final picture of how the last 15 minutes or so of this race are going to pile out. As we cross the line, gap between me and Fat Pickles was 3 and a bit seconds. He just set his personal fastest lap of the race at 2:27.6, eclipsing I think my fastest at the time. My fastest at the time was a 28.3. So again, you can see I'm not really pushing the boundaries of the car too much. Car definitely had faster pace in it, but I wasn't up for exploiting that. Yes, our Idler's had a great race so far. Comfortable third at the minute. He's not too far behind Fat Pickles Pro, as you can see, and has a decent gap over the Dodge Viper of Phil. Phil, who has yet again got a James Harbin tucked up behind him. James is just ahead of his teammate Tricky Tree. We've got Surf Rev in 7th. He had that big off earlier on in the race, so it's all about recovery for him. We've got Mental Mike after his pit stop. He's back out on, oh yeah, he's on mediums now. He's on his medium stint, so Mental Mike's pace will drop off a little bit, no doubt. He does have Infinity Decals behind him, so trying to keep that Porsche at bay is going to be a challenge for the Jaguar driver. We've got Terence, who's out on his softs now. He's just set a 28.0, so Terence's fastest lap at this time was faster than the race leaders. And then we've got Mutt, who has just made his pit stop, so Mutt will be eager to get past the Mercedes. And the Mercedes actually runs it wide there, coming out of Pouhon. Is Mutt going to go for the move? He is, down the inside. That's relatively nice and tidy. I can't imagine Terence will fight that one straight away. Might might see more from that later on in the race. Well, nothing doing at the top end. It's relatively chilled. We've got Marshall in the back of the field. We've got Ice Chand in the other Aston Martin. See Trickle in the Toyota. The Toyota boys weren't having fun at this one. Jamming out to 12th, clearly ahead of Has now. Terrence might try and have a go back at Mutt 36 here. And James Harben did look there on the camera like he was having a look at the Viper, but alas not. Yeah, nothing really doing in the race at the minute. We're just waiting for, I guess, everyone to start piling on. The Viper's having to defend again to James Harben. Evenly spaced cars just means there's not really much going on in terms of overtake. Meanwhile, the battle for not last is going on. It's Marshall versus Ice Chan. Marshall was having a look down the inside, releases the brakes a little bit in the Toyota. Ice Chan gives him respect at the apex, but tidies it up during the second part of the corner. And the V8 Aston Martin should just drive off, you'd imagine. C Trickle goes into the pits. Yeah, that Ice Chan easily able to keep that position. Terry's actually having another pop at Mutt 36 here. Mutt's going to send him round the outside. Nice and early on the brakes for Terry. He might try and get this tidied up later. Mutt goes deep. Terry does actually just hit the grass there, and that stops him getting the move made. I feel without that little grass touch there, or that little bit of oversteer he got, he may have had a much better chance of getting the VW. Because they're all on fresh tyres now. This is the thing, most drivers now on fresh rubber. So you've got two choices really. You can either start to really push, just try and get the best out of your car, or you can just try and reserve the tyres. I was very much doing the latter. See my fastest lap at 28.3. Pickles was a 27.6, and he's in the 27, so he's technically catching me at this point. Gap is 3.2, so there or thereabouts. It's remained about the same actually, but Pickles has definitely got the opportunity to go faster. These two still fighting it out. Ice Chan versus Marshall. 40 minutes of racing here at Spa, and still some good racing going on in this league. Ice Chan goes a little bit deep into that. Marshall just tries to get tidied up, but again they leave each other enough space at the apex. Marshall might try and just nip one down the insides, and he is successful. That's a good move by Marshall. Good respectful racing by both drivers. I've actually put a 27 on the board, a 27.6, so pretty much matching Pickles' fastest lap. Pretty confident at this point. I was safe on fuel, so I was now starting to go at it a little bit more. Mental Mike versus Infinity Decals, Porsche v Jaguar. A looming Volkswagen in the background there, as you can see. Infinity Decals just really good on the brakes. Actually, Infinity Decals just gets a nose in. GT Sport contact physics at its best. Infinity Decals kind of has to just back out of that move. That is going to let Mutt right involved in this action then. Mutt's almost going to have the overspeed. Looks to the inside, he's going to try and get two cars in one. A little bit of a nudge on the back of Infinity Decals, sends him wide again. That is Mutt through. Mental Mike's now going to try and get one over on the Porsche as well. Terrence is looming in the background, hoping to pick up any scraps. But for the time being, no, it is Mutt 36 up to P8 to 27.6 his last lap as well, so he is on it. Meanwhile, we do still have James. This is the view James Harben has had the entire race. He will know every single bit of the back of that Viper by the end of this race, I'm pretty sure. Top three mostly unchanged. Still leading the way. Fat Pickles doing a good job in P2 though. Started on the mediums, a little bit of a different strategy to the rest of us. Of course, he has. We didn't start in P2, so this is at one point though. I think he was like in 5th or 6th, so strategy worked for him in a lot of different ways. So yeah, what we're doing, we've got 7 minutes left, probably about another 3 laps. 2 or 3 laps, yeah, 3 laps. No, thereabouts. So can Mutt catch up with those guys? He's doing good. He's another 27 on the board. The guys are better doing 29s because they're slowing each other up a little bit. So you would imagine that Mutt would catch those guys in the near future. Mental Mind just had of Infinity Decals. Terence has caught those guys up. So Terence in the Mercedes versus the Porsche with Infinity Decals. He will have the advantage in a straight line, will Terence. Porsche with the slipstream of the Jaguar might just be able to defend that a little bit. Let's just go on board Mental Mike's rear cam as well, and we'll just get a good view of these two battling away behind. So they go side by side. Yeah. Now Infinity Decals is able to defend that one. Surfer Rev and Tricky Tree Surfer then. Just trying his best in that Aston Martin to hang on. Of course, these two have been embroiled in a little bit of a battle, so they will have been slowing each other up a little bit. And James, as I've already said, he's sick of looking at the back of Phil's car, but Phil's doing a great job in P4. Oh, James goes off the track then, that's going to harm his chances a little bit. I don't know if that'll bring him any closer to the. I don't know if it'll bring these guys any closer to him. We will, of course, find out very soon. Terence going to have another crack at the Porsche. I should imagine he'll give it a go. Einstein and Marshall still in a relatively close fight towards the back. 5 minutes remaining. Yeah, another 2 laps, I reckon. Probably pretty safe on another 2 laps. So at this point, I remember driving this bit and I was just like, if we're pretty sure it's 2 laps, I've definitely got enough fuel on board to start to push a little bit more and ensure the gap to Pickles. The gap at this point, 2.7, so Pickles has been doing a really good job of reeling me in. As I saw the time, I was relatively confident of the amount of laps remaining, knew how much fuel I had to sort of play with, and again just did overfuel a little bit in the second pit stop, and I'm kind of glad I did, because I can start to push now a little bit. Meanwhile it's Tricky Tree again v Surf Rev for this P6 spot, and Mutt is visibly catching them as well. Mutt's last time was 28.4, 28.8 and 28.9 for these guys respectively, so Mutt took about half a second out of those guys that lap round. So it's whether or not he's going to be in range. I think Tricky's going to struggle to get any moves made there. James is a little bit back from Phil now, so the top 4 starting to spread out a little bit. We might as well just stick with this to the end. We have only got like 5 or 6 minutes left. Terence has got the Porsche. So Infinity Decals. Oh, as he jumps through the air. That's GT Sport physics for you, ladies and gents. This is just on board Infinity Decals' car. He's trying to defend to Terence a little bit. That's to give him the room, so there goes the Mercedes. Getting the slipstream from the Jaguar in front. Oh, I love that. You hit them bollards wrong and you do go flying. It's quite funny until that happens to you. These two, Einstein and Marshall, still fighting away. They're not messing about, those boys. Let's have a quick gap check. What is it? 2.8, so pretty similar to what it was at the start of the race. Tricky and Surfer bubbling. But again, Mutt's catching him. Look at how close Mutt's getting now. He's right in the pocket. Let's keep an eye on this. Because Surfer's having to go defensive. Tricky's got pace in that Subaru. But he's just going to struggle to get past the Aston Martin, which is a bit of a powerhouse. So coming into the braking zones, Ev is able, even with slipstream, just to pull a little bit of a gap. That being said, he's having to narrow his angle here. That's going to give Tricky Tree a little bit of a run. Mutt's behind him though. Surfer goes wide off the track. That's going to slow him down even more. Mutt 36, does he just have to tuck in for the time being? Oh, he's going to look down the inside of Tricky Tree. Mutt's actually got through. That was a good move by Mutt. Up to P7. Tricky's going to have to try and immediately come back at him. Meanwhile, we have got Terence v Mental Mike. Mental Mike, of course, on the mediums might struggle to defend against the Mercedes. We are now on the last lap of the race. So let's have a bit of a gap check at the front. 3.1 seconds is the gap between myself and Pickles. Right, so managed to pull a little bit of time back on him. It's a good little fight kicking off here. Look at how much fuel Mutt's got compared to everyone else. So he's put far too much fuel in that car, but it does mean he can rev the nuts off it. So Surfer's going to send him wide. Mutt actually goes deep there. Oh, there's contact at the apex. It's pinballing. It's pinball. There was a lot. See, this is what GT Sport does. Like a little tap. It's like you've got. It's like you've got rubber cars. They just bounce off each other. It's really peculiar. But either way, that's Mutt 36 up to 6th position. He's. Not got enough time, I think, to catch James Harben. James has just been doing a solid job in that Subaru. A little bit of a gap check, 3.7 seconds now, so starting to pull a little bit more time back. And now I can start to rev the Mercedes out a little bit more, get the potential out of the car in a straight line. Tyres are too far gone to start setting any fastest laps, but a 27.6. Is alright considering at that time I was fuel saving, so I'm actually quite happy with that. Is there anything likely to kick off with these now? We'll see if Terence gets past Mental Mike, but we'll just watch people as they come over the line like we usually do. So myself, the first win of the season, making up for lost ground at Autopolis. And just missing out at Brands Hatch. Fat Picklesborough with a solid second place. ESR Idle, his first podium of the championship in the Jaguar. He will be happy with that. We've got Phil in P4, a solid race again from the Viper. James Harben P5, who probably took that before the race. Mutt 36 in 6th, with Surfer in 7th. Tricky Tree in 8th. Terence just gets Mental Mike at the line. Let's actually just go back and have a look at that. So this is going to be a brave side-by-side move at Blanchimont, isn't it? Yeah. It's a very good overtake there from Terence, but he's got to do the business here. Mental Mike really brave on the brakes. He's going to try and get the cut back on the Mercedes, but no, Terence sees that one out. So a good move by the Mercedes in the end. Mental Mike in 10th. Infinity Decals is going to finish this one out in 11th. We've got Gemini in 12th in the other Viper, with Has91 in 13th. Gemini actually runs out of fuel on the line, does he? Oh no, he got a penalty. He got a little bit of a penalty there. He got 4 temps. Did he? Well, I can't work out what happened there. Well, he slows down to serve his penalty, that's what. And he doesn't serve it, which is weird. Marshall v Chan, side by side, final lap. Chan goes off the track. Is he going to have dirty tyres for the braking zone? Oh, he gets the Aston Martin all sorts of wrong, but he does gather it up in time to make the corner. But again, he has to just serve a little bit of a penalty that he picks up there, and that is going to be Ice Chan's. That penalty will not serve. So actually Ice Chan comes in last because of a penalty that just will not serve. So let's have a full look at the race results then. So myself taking the win with Fat Pickles in second, Idle in third. You can see the full results in front of you. Mental Mike grabbing the fastest lap as well, so well done to him. In terms of how that leaves the Drivers' Championship, obviously we're only 3 rounds in, so we can't read too much into this, but Pickles is already making a storming lead with 70 points, myself with 57, Phil, good run of form for him, 47 points with Mutt chasing behind on 42, and with regards to manufacturers, there has been a little bit of a change with regards to manufacturers, so Mercedes now just about taking the lead with 95, Porsche on 91, and then Dodge leaping into third, closely followed by VW and Subaru. Next week, back in the GT3 machinery over in the idyllic French village of Alsace. Join us for that.